What up, folks? What's going on? Welcome to episode number 30 of the Spun Today podcast. I'm your host, Tony Ortiz. Thank you very much for listening. Really appreciate it. I am back from DR, from Punta Cana. Like I told you guys previously that I was going to be away. That's why I pre-recorded a few episodes and had an amazing time. My fiance and I went to Judy and Raul's wedding, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, and had a really awesome time. It was a really beautiful wedding. All their family got together, and we're in the Caribbean. We make a vacation out of it, stay there, I think like 6 days, and the wedding was like a complete success all around. No complaints at all. Definitely not from any of the guests. We had an amazing time, and also surprisingly, because there's always like something that like goes wrong traditionally, at least in my experience from friends' weddings and other families' weddings, with a bride and or groom, they're like dissatisfied with something. But thankfully that wasn't the case this time. Julie and Raul, both had a really good time at their wedding. They were also surprisingly able to like really enjoy it. From what I've heard in other wedding experiences, the bride and groom are always like just doing things like step by step and doing this with the photographer and that with the videographer, and having to like meet and greet with all the guests, and they're kind of like hitting their mark throughout the entire like event, and don't really get to like be into it and enjoy it. But that wasn't the case in this one. They both had a really good time, as well as everybody else that attended. So it couldn't have gone any better. So thank you to Judy and Raul, and I wish you guys the best always. Then definitely thanks for having us. Kind of gave my fiance the wedding bug, and which is good. It gives us something to speak about, and a good idea of the whole destination wedding route, if we choose to go that route. They had a wedding planner, which I used to think wasn't necessary, and because to me it was like, if you get a place, why do you need somebody to decorate it? Just decorate that shit yourself. But I was really able to see what the how like detail oriented and a wedding planner can be, a good one, and what they do basically, because I just literally had no idea. Like I didn't know like what their purpose was, because if it was like just to decorate shit, I could fucking YouTube and Google shit and fucking throw some decorations together, you know what I mean? But yeah, you definitely get to see their hand and their expertise in the whole thing, and that definitely helps the wedding come together. And it's not mandatory. It's not like you can't have a beautiful, nice wedding without a wedding planner, because I've been to other weddings without wedding planners, and some were shitty, some weren't, and I've been to one that I believe had a wedding planner, which wasn't all that. This one was, everything just worked out amazingly well. So I guess like anything else, you just gotta do your research into who you hire and stuff like that to work with you and shit. But yeah, the most important part, I think, out of that whole experience, is that the bride and groom in that situation, Julie and Raul, were able to be present and be like in enjoy their moment, and not just have to look back on it in hindsight, like with pictures and videos and stuff like that. It felt, and from like their accounts, like they really had a good time, and I think that's really important, because at the end of the day, it's you're doing it like with your family and stuff, but it shouldn't be for them. It should be for you too, in my opinion. And what else? So yeah, I'm back from DR. Everything went awesome. And I'm recording this episode, what's today? September 14th, 2015, and I'm recording it today, obviously, right now. And it's going to be released on September 24th, which is when the next episode comes out. And I am going to be in India at that time, so I'm pre-recording this about a week earlier than usual. I'm going back to India for a couple weeks for work, and I plan to do some podcasting there, again, like I did last time. If you guys missed that, there's an episode, I forget which numbers they are, but they're titled India Part 1 and India Part 2, and it's pretty much my previous and first trip to India, my experience like with their culture, and just generally with the experience as a whole, and experiencing just being on the other side of the planet for the first time, minus like all the work shit. So yeah, check that out if you guys want to, and if you don't want to, go fuck yourself. But check out the next one, India Part 3. Seems like a good title for it. I'll be recording that while I'm out there, and yeah, it's probably the next episode after this one is probably going to be that one. What else? Speaking of being present, I just finished reading The Present, actually, a book titled The Present by Spencer Johnson. He's the dude that wrote Who Moved My Cheese, which is like a #1 bestseller. And my brother made me read back in like high school, and I remember liking it, but I want to reread it because I think I'll like be able to appreciate it like on a different level now. And from reading The Present, it's pretty good. I recommend it if you guys want to check it out. It's a quick read. You could do it like in, if you're a slow reader like me, 2 or 3 sittings, or 4 or 5 sittings. And but average and people that enjoy reading just read that shit in like one sitting. I think it's like, I'll tell you right now, I have it in front of me, it's like 100 pages, 110 pages, something like that. And it's like the title's like a double entendre, but it's called The Present, as in like the gift. On the cover, it has like a little gift box with a ribbon and bow. But it is about giving yourself the gift of being able to be present and being in the moment and engulfing yourself in whatever's in front of you and what you're doing, and giving that your all, and bringing your focus back to that whenever you're going crazy and thinking about a bunch of shit and stressing and stuff like that. It's about honing in on the moment and maximizing that. And if you do that consistently enough throughout, and you're like always present and you're always bettering whatever is in front of you, then down the line, your past is something good to look back on, and your future you build up to be something just as positive. And it's a pretty good read. It's a pretty good concept to try to implement into your lives. And yeah, that's again The Present by Spencer Johnson. I put a link, or we'll be putting a link in the episode notes of this episode, so if you want, just go to that and check that out. And I just got an alert on my phone that says King of the Dot Entertainment just uploaded the KOTD rap battle, Pat Stay vs. Immaculate World Domination 5, the title match. I gotta check that shit out. Spoiler alert, Pat Stay loses. But I haven't checked out the battle yet. I didn't pay for the pay-per-view or whatever. But I'm definitely gonna check that out. They have some good battles too in that card. I'm looking forward to checking that out, and probably speak about that next time during the intro and outro and stuff like that. What else? I'm reading now the what's it called? The Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. Originally by Lao Tzu. It's translated by someone else whose name I do not remember. and I'll let you guys know how that is. I'm literally just like it's like 81 individual kind of like poem things, not necessarily poetry, but I don't know how to explain it. Little poems, I guess, but it's supposed to be like some deep philosophical shit. And I've just read like 4 or 5 of them so far, so can't really speak to it yet. Kind of goes with this free writing episode where I'm going to read to you guys a poem that I actually attempted to write. Well, not attempted to, I wrote it, but, you know, I'm attempting to write it off as being poetry. So you guys tell me what you think of it once I do read that to you guys. So it kind of goes with that. Definitely, you know, I'm not comparing it like in the level-wise, but because, of course, you know, Lao Tzu ain't got shit on me. But just kidding. Yeah. I'll speak more about that once I finish that book and look more into it. You know what? Actually, let me read you guys. I'll read you guys. There's actually 2 that I noted down that were interesting that I wanted to, you know, really like read again and mull over in my mind. And, you know, they're just like 8-sentence, like little pieces. So let me read to you guys 2 of them actually. And I could actually tell you guys that it's translated by Stephen Mitchell, or Stephen Mitchell, depending on how he pronounces it. And I'm up to number 7, actually, 7 of 81. Let's see. Number 2. This one's actually a little bit long. But, you know, it's nothing huge. Here it goes. This is number 2 from the Tao Te Ching. When people see some things as beautiful, when people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore, the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess. Acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That is why it lasts forever. Definitely sounds like some deep shit that I gotta try to process. But I like it. On its surface, I like it. And this is number 4. This one's short. The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. It is hidden but always present. I don't know who gave birth to it. It is older than God. Yeah, and it's like I said, it's 81 different, I don't know, little poems. I don't know what else to call them. Little anecdotes, little insightful pieces. And that's what I'm reading now. I think I heard about it on the Drunken Taoist podcast, actually, with Daniele Bolelli. Or was it R.B. Marcus's podcast? The Warrior Poet podcast. I think he changed it now to just R.B. Marcus. But it was... I mean, I've heard of it before, but what made me like really want to read it now, it was someone on one of those podcasts answering the question of if you had only, I don't know, 3 books, if you were on a deserted island and for the rest of your life and you could only take 3 books with you, what would you take? And like that was like the first one that they said, which piqued my interest and got me to buy it. But yeah, more on that when I finish it, or just like I do with the books that I'm reading. Certain things that inspire me to free write, I write about, and that's usually the stuff that you find in the free writing section of my website, spuntoday.com/free writing, and which is the inspiration behind these free writing episodes. So you probably hear more about it before I finish it. What else? Coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the Spun Today podcast. Fucking time flies. I still don't feel like I've really found my podcast voice, or my voice, or whatever you want to call it. Or maybe I haven't. It's just this, and this is what we're stuck with, folks. But it's definitely something I enjoy doing a lot. I feel like it's whatever the opposite of like a vicious circle type of thing is. Whatever the opposite of that is what this is, because I feel like this inspires and motivates me to write, and vice versa. My writing inspires me to podcast, and it's kind of like I guess a vicious circle if you don't like it, any of the content. But for me, it's, like I've said before, podcasting is awesome. It's writing is cathartic and it makes me feel better. Podcasting helps me vent, and it all kind of like gels together for me, and it makes sense. The first episode was September 29th, 2014. So whenever you guys hear this, it's just shy of 1 year. So thank you for those of you that have supported throughout the past year, and those that will continue to do so down the line. Really appreciate you guys. But yeah, it's sick. Fucking time really does fly, yo. If you guys would like, I made up some Spun Today bookmarks to go in the future New York Times bestselling books by Tony Ortiz, and you guys can get the bookmark in advance, and I'll owe you guys the book, but you will get that too eventually. If any of you guys are interested, or if you want it, I've tweeted a picture of it in the past. You guys can look for it in my feed. Maybe I'll like retweet that again. But anybody who is interested, just hit me up. You'll have to give me your address for me to mail it out to you. But I will, if you don't mind that, or if you have some sort of like PO box, or work address, or something more public. If you don't feel like giving me your address, then definitely understandable. But anybody who wants one, can have one. Reach out to me, hit me up on Twitter at Spun Today, and or just email me spuntoday@gmail.com. Hit me up through the contact page on my website, and reach out to me whichever way you choose to. I'm pretty accessible, and I'll mail one out to you. And thanks in advance for the support. Which one of yous are into fantasy football, basketball, baseball, that, like fantasy games and shit? This podcast is not sponsored by DraftKings, because I have like half a dozen listeners, but I do enjoy fantasy football, and I wanted to tell you guys about my draft. I'm trying to look for the app here to open it up. I had my draft the day after I came back from DR, actually. I had my fantasy football draft. Let me tell you my dilemma here with fantasy football, or not dilemma, my history with it. The very first year that I got into it, I won the league that year, my very, very first year. So I was like, oh, I got this shit. This shit's easy. I knew shit about football, and the reason why I got into fantasy is because I wanted to get into football. Because I'm not like a huge sports guy. I'm not like the dude that spits out stats and knows all the players on even my favorite team or every team and like shit like that. I'm a casual sports fan. I have the teams that I root for, which are usually the underdogs. For football, it's the Jets. Baseball, it's the Mets. I'm a Queens kid. What else? The basketball, I actually picked the winner. I'm a Lakers fan. And it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, a dude from New York rooting for the Lakers. But when I was in junior high, I think like 7th grade, if I'm not mistaken, that's when in like 96 when Kobe got drafted, and he was like instantly my favorite player, and I knew, like I picked him, like I knew he was going to be a greatest of all time, arguably. And it was a time that I was into like playing basketball a lot. That's when you still have those aspirations of, I'm gonna play in the NBA one day, like that type of shit, even though I'm like 5'6". And but yeah, since I've always been a Lakers fan since then, haven't looked back. And so yeah, I'm not, I wanted to get into fantasy football as a means to get that much more into football. Shout out to my boy Pablo, who showed me kind of like the ropes and stuff like that, and Big Steve that hooked me up with the fantasy league and stuff like that. And it definitely it's something. It's a good tool in that sense to like get you into something, because it forces you to follow it, forces you to get to know different players' names and positions and who does what, and it's interesting shit. So I've been into it. I like doing it. I've done like at work, they have like a fantasy baseball league, a fantasy basketball league, and other fantasy football leagues. I just do the one fantasy football league. I've tried the basketball league, and you literally have to do that shit every single day. I've done it like twice. Did decent in it. I think I made it to the playoffs one of those years. And the baseball one also, you have to do it every single fucking day, and it's too much. I don't think I'm doing either one of those this year. But the football one, I enjoy it. It's, once a week. You have multiple games a week. You have the Thursday night game, the Monday night game, and then all the Sunday games. So you kind of have to watch it. You can't just sleep on it. But you don't have to be on top of it every single day. You know what I mean? And whatever. Long story short, the first year that I did it, I fucking demolished the whole fucking league. I think I went, if I remember correctly, I was undefeated until I had a bye week. I remember that's the year that Drew Brees broke the passing yards record, and I also had Ray Rice when he fucking was beasting, before he started like punching chicks out and shit. And it was like a sick combination. So yeah, if I remember correctly, either Breeze and Ray Rice, or just Ray Rice and like 2 or 3 other players, had a bye week on the same week. And for those of you that don't know, which I didn't at the time, before I started fantasy, a bye week is like every team in the NFL, they play 16 games, and during those 16 weeks, 16 weekly games, each team gets a bye week, which is a week off. And obviously, they don't all get it like on the same day, on the same week or whatever. They spread it out throughout the season. Some teams have the bye week the 3rd week, some teams have it the 11th week, and every week in between, and before and after, whatever. I think actually the 3rd week or the 4th week is the first bye week. Anyway, I had the bye week for like a few top players the same week that I had the matchup with the dude that was in 2nd place, and he beat me, and he had all his players and shit. And but I always had, I was like, fuck, like I know I would have taken him if it wasn't for the bye week. And then I was able to put my money where my mouth is, kind of, because I met him in the Super Bowl of the fantasy league. It was me and him again. Obviously, we had all our players, and I blew him out the box and won, which was very satisfying. And yeah, that was my first year playing fantasy. Then there were 3 years after that. This is my 5th year doing it. So there was 3 years after that. The very next year, I finished in last place. And the year after that, I finished in like 9th place. And then last year, I finished in 11th place. It's a 12-team league. And this year, I'm going to take it all, of course. But yeah, I've been on a little hiatus since that first year. And yeah, definitely plan to take it this year. Let me tell you guys my team. It's a 3 wide receiver league, and I had 12th pick. I had last pick. And even though I had last pick, Yahoo, for whatever it's worth, I know they're fucking off a lot, but they gave me a B with my like drafting strategy or whatever. Like they give you grades like A, B, C, D, fucking B plus, F. They gave me a B, and they project me season wide to finish in 2nd. They're off by 1, but yeah, my team I had a really, really good draft. I was happy with my draft, with the exception of wide receivers. I'm really weak in that position, but I have Drew Brees, I have Deshaun Jackson, I have Julian Edelman, Torrey Smith, C.J. Anderson, which fucked up this week, Frank Gore, both of which, like, they both got hurt or, out of the game or whatever. I have Gronkowski, which went fucking ape shit. I have Tevin Coleman, another running back, who's supposed to do good things. I handcuffed C.J. Anderson. Was this it? Yeah, C.J. Anderson with Ronnie Hillman. I have Austin or Seraphim Jenkins, the tight end, which went pretty ape shit also in week 1. And I'm trying to trade him for like a decent wide receiver. We'll see if anybody bites, because I have Gronk for as a tight end, and I just took him as a backup. And since he had a monster first week, hopefully somebody bites and trades me a decent wide receiver. Then I have a few other wide receivers, which probably ain't going anywhere. Malcolm Floyd, Michael Crabtree, and L. Hankerson, whoever that is. I don't even know what that is. Leonard Hankerson. My kicker is the Detroit kicker, Prater. And I have New York Jets defense, which did awesome this week also. And that's my fantasy team. Tell me what you guys think. Any of you that are into fantasy or play. There's a podcast actually that I listen to. I just listen to it I know they have like throughout the year. And they speak about, different fantasy sports. I just subscribe and download it or whatever during like football season. And it's Matthew Berry's Fantasy Focus Football, ESPN. And I listened to a couple other ones like the Football Guys podcast. And this one's my favorite. I don't like that Nate Ravitz isn't there anymore, but the other dude that's there now is pretty good actually. He grew on me. But Matthew Berry, I think, is the man, and he puts out a lot of like free content, like free articles and it rankings every week, and gives you like a breakdown of what players to play and why, and in his opinion, and he's right more often than he's not. And yeah, it's an entertaining podcast, whatever to listen to. They do picks on the podcast also, like weekly pick'ems. If you guys ever play anything like that, like at work we do it, which you pretty much just pick a team against the spread, and they analyze games basically before they happen and then afterwards. And Stefania Bella's on there too. She's like some sort of doctor, and speaks about like all the injuries and how bad they are and what the teams are reporting in terms of injuries and what the expectations are for a player to come back and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. It gives you like a bit of an edge, I think, if you're into fantasy, you know, just to listen to experts of the shit. And they actually have a show on TV called Fantasy Football Now that they usually give on Sundays right before like a kickoff, like an hour before, and they go through it, and it's pretty much more of that type of stuff, just in podcast form, and you get a couple episodes a week, so you're able to get more out of it. So check that shit out if you guys want to. Fuck, this chair squeaks like a motherfucker. I gotta get a new chair. Shit's all fucking ripped and shit too. What was I gonna say? Oh, I saw an interesting Vice piece recently, which I had heard of, and I saw. I think I heard of it in probably on Rogan's podcast, or definitely on a podcast. Most likely his. And I want to say that, whatever, I saw like headlines and shit like this, you know, a while back, but I had never like really looked into it. And I saw Vice did a piece about it. It's about cancer, like cutting edge cancer like treatments, like new age treatments that are coming out. And it's the one where they use like different diseases, different not diseases, viruses to attack cancer cells. And they, you know, it's available now on probably on Vice.com, but I saw it on Vice's HBO show, on the HBO on demand, and it's really interesting. It's fucking amazing how they develop stuff like this. I was watching it with my fiance, and it was just like, how the fuck do they come up with this type of shit? They use different viruses to attack different types of cancer cells. Like they used the measles virus, they used the common cold virus with some guy that had like a brain tumor, cancerous brain tumor. They used the common cold virus in that one. They use AIDS, fucking like the HIV virus or the AIDS like disease or virus or whatever. Also, and it's shown, you know, obviously not 100% successful, but it has shown like a shitload of success. Supposedly the AIDS virus one has been the most successful, like the T cells from it or something like that. You guys have to watch it to you know, get the real technical like breakdowns of it or whatever, but it's just fucking amazing. The one dude that had the brain tumor, they like showed his surgery, like parts of it, and he was like completely conscious while they like numbed his head, but they like cut him open. Like it wasn't like one of those like go through your veins like internally kind of deals. It was like in pura sangre, fucking well, not pura sangre, because I guess like they numb him, but he's awake, like he's conscious, like he has to stay speaking with them throughout the process. And they cut him open and they're speaking to him, and they're like, all right, you're gonna hear like a sawing sound, and they're like drilling into his head, and then they take this vial which has like the common cold in it, like billions of particles per parsicle or whatever the fuck, some technical shit, and they like inject it into the tumor. Well, first they took out like a piece of the tissues from the brain tumor to confirm that it is cancerous, and they go test that again, and confirm that it is, and then they take the virus and they inject like billions and billions of fucking whatever, like microbes of that virus into the cancer cells, and like they followed up with the guy that did the treatment, and it went down, like the cancer didn't continue growing, and it was growing, and it's just fucking sick. It's fucking amazing. There was this other like little girl that had cancer. She had like leukemia, and I think they used the measles virus on her, and she, you know, leukemia, she had like no hair, no nothing, and then she was like flaquita, like skinny, and like they used that, and she, you know, a few months later, I guess, or a year later or something, like she's in school, she's like a 9-year-old girl, she has hair, she looked like chubbier and like completely in remission. It's just amazing. It's just sick. The sickest fucked up part though of the whole thing is this. The doctor that came up with this like concept, at some point it was around the Wall Street crash, like in 2008. Supposedly they used to get their funding from a lot of donors from like the Wall Street like market area. So once the crash happened, they lost their funding, and they just couldn't get funding like from the government, from like no one, for this like shit that was showing such fucking promise. And they couldn't like, I don't know, some bureaucratical, whatever the fucking word is, bureaucracy bullshit is what I call it, that they had to have a certain number of trials in order to try to solicit funding through like the normal channels. And they only had like 4 or 5 trials at that time that were successful. And so the doctor, and I guess the patient or something like that, just submitted this story to the New York Times, and it got plastered like on the cover of the New York Times. They got picked up by a bunch of major papers, and then funding fucking blew up from there. So they had to go through like these other avenues or whatever. Imagine that doctor would have fucking like given up and not done it, and this could be like one of the fucking, hopefully knock on wood, fucking solutions to like ending cancer, or at least, you know, steps in the direction of being able to fucking end that fucking bullshit. And, you know, just due to fucking not having funding, you know, not being able to pursue it, and I don't know, the math just doesn't add up in the fucking world sometimes. They have like billions and trillions of dollars being wasted on fucking dumb shit. Well, whatever. That part's just fucking like insane. It's frustrating. But it's awesome. Thank God for fucking people that fucking could do shit like that and come up with fucking ideas like that and test it and know how to. And it's fucking amazing. It fascinates me. All right. So yeah, without further ado, the free writing portion of the episode, which is where I'm going to read, like I told you guys before, my attempt at writing a poem, which I titled "There's Greatness There." Just to give you guys a little bit of context, I wrote this literally right after watching Whiplash, the movie, which just inspired me to write. You know, like I've said in the past, you know, certain movies or songs or just like amp you up, you know what I mean? Like they get you into whatever the fuck it is that you're into. And for me, that thing is writing, and I thought it was a dope movie, and I just wrote this right after. Which I guess we could reflect and see if there's like any correlation like with the movie. I guess like the general like tone of it, of this little piece. But try not to laugh too much, and let me know what you guys think after this. Alright, so there's greatness there. Like a diamond in the rough, or a shave after the scruff, there's greatness there. Somewhere within the depths of deep, where willows weep, there's greatness there. Where knowledge meets creativity, where sorrow meets sensitivity, there's greatness there. Where lies meet regret, and regret foresees enough to secede, there's greatness there. Where tolerance and compassion merge, where discipline meets urge, there's greatness there. There's greatness in you. That's it. I'll give you guys a second to sit back down from, you know, standing up and giving me a standing ovation on that one. But yeah, that's my attempt at writing a poem. If you guys want to read it yourselves and get a bit more into it, it's you can find it at spuntoday.com/free writing. Again, the title is There's Greatness There, and it was posted on September 12th, 2015. But I wrote it months ago, and I didn't put the date on here that I actually wrote it. So yeah, to me, And for those of you that don't know any of like the free writing stuff, like I usually like break it down and see if there's anything in it that stands out, like when I actually like read it and reflect on it. It's kind of like each I don't know what they're called in poetry, but each, I don't know, like little section, you know, how it's like two phrases, then there's greatness there, two phrases, there's greatness there, whatever that's called. Each one is kind of opposites in a way. And the general tone of it is how like two, not necessarily opposites, but maybe two things, kind of like a juxtaposition type of thing, where two, I guess that is opposites, right? But looking at every line, I guess it doesn't work for every line, but it's, how do I explain this shit? I can't even explain it to myself. It's like the beauty or greatness, however you want to look at it, that's not necessarily at the, like on that first layer. It's not like at the top, like a diamond in the rough. There's greatness there, like in that diamond in the rough, but you might not know it at, you know, at face value, because it's a diamond that's covered up, you know, by all this like shit. It's in the rough still, you know. You gotta dig it up, dig it out, polish it, and then there's your greatness. Then the line after that is, or a shave after the scruff. You know how good it fucking feels after you shave, after you're fucking scruffy like I am right now, and you shave and you're fucking nice and smooth, just feeling like fresh to death, like when you get a fresh cut. There's greatness there. What else? Let's see. Somewhere within the depths of deep where willows weep, there's greatness there. So it's like a weeping willow tree, like there's like beauty within that, you know, whether you like the aesthetics of how like a weeping willow looks, like the tree, you know, it looks all like droopy and shit, whether you like that look or not, like there's still greatness within that because of it just being and being able to be it, and like being a weeping willow. Then what else? Let's see, another line. Where lies meet regret, there's greatness there. So I guess like if you've ever lied and like you feel that remorse or regret, or have been lied to and you wish that that person feels that remorse or regret, like within that moment, between the lie and the regret, like there is like that greatness there, which I guess is in that context like more of a sense of closure. Then you have, let's see, another one that I like, where discipline meets urge. There's greatness there within that. To me, it's like a lot of times you have the urge to do something, or like the want, like you want to do something but you don't do shit. Maybe something that you're planning to do that you keep putting off. But when you couple that urge with the actual discipline to like get it done and like stick to it and do it, there's greatness within that. But yeah, that's what I got out of it when I was writing it, and now more so when I'm reading it and reflecting on it. Let me know what you guys think. Again, you can check it out at spuntoday.com/free writing. It's a post from September 12th, 2015. You can comment right there. You can like it, you can share it, and or just, you know, reach out to me on Twitter at spuntoday, or email me through my contact page at spuntoday.com/contact, or just email me straight up at spuntoday@gmail.com. And I just have that piece for you guys today. And I'm gonna get all the what do you call it? I don't know, fucking logistics, I guess you would call it, out of the way, before the last thing that I want to tell you guys, which kind of falls in line with the whole fucking romantic tone of this episode, you know, speaking about weddings and poetry and shit. and the romance that is fantasy football. Yeah, let me get all this stuff out the way first. Like I told you guys, if anybody that wants a bookmark, hit me up. Let me know. It's nothing fancy. It has the Spun Today logo on it. It has my little catchphrase at the end. It's a double-sided. The little catchphrase that I say at the end of every episode. For those of you that listen, you know it. For those of you that don't, it's substitute. It's like I don't know, kind of like my motto for this whole shit, this whole writing thing and podcasting and stuff like that. And it's substitute the mysticism with hard work and start taking steps in the general direction of your dreams, which is pretty much, you know, all the thoughts and doubts that you have in your mind that you know, it's really you getting in the way of yourself and like blocking yourself off from doing something because you think you have to go about it, you know, through a certain route. Fuck all that shit. Just work hard and aim towards it, and you'll figure it out as you go. And you know, it just has that on it. It's white. It's, you know, like on a thick piece of, you know, it's not flimsy. And it's pretty dope. I like it. You know, I'm biased obviously, but anybody that wants it, hit me up. Let me know. Also, the questionnaire on my website. For those of you that haven't read it, it's a 5-question questionnaire. You can find it at spuntoday.com/questionnaire. And it's 5 questions designed to let other people know what it is that inspire, not just what inspires you, but it's about something that inspires you and how you get out of your own way and get yourself to do it. And, you know, it's just 5 questions, and it could help other people and, you know, figure out how to, you know, stop being lazy fucks and actually like pursue something. And, you know, we share tips. A few people have filled it out. I read the responses to your answers on the free writing episodes of the podcast, and you guys can check that out and, you know, decide for yourselves if you want to fill it out or not. And also, you can remain anonymous if you choose to. I won't say who it was that filled it out. What else? Open invitation for any writers or creators, you know, and it doesn't have to be writers of fucking novels and books and stuff like that. It could be, you know, battle rap writers. You know, I think the shit that you guys come up with is fucking dope. Screenwriters, you know, anybody that does anything creative, you know, painters, poets, whatever. Hit me up if you want to be on the podcast and just shoot the shit, basically. You can check out photos. I like taking pictures of shit. I wouldn't consider myself a photographer by any stretch of the imagination, but it's something that I enjoy doing at times. And I post pictures up on the website at spuntoday.com/photography. You guys can check that out, download pictures there for free if you want. I actually have one set as my desktop right now, which I thought came out pretty dope, and I liked it. There's a bunch on there like that that you guys might like, so check it out. And if for whatever reason you want to purchase like a print, like a frame photography of that photography, or like a poster or whatever, you guys can do so at crated.com/spuntoday. Crated is CRATED .com/spuntoday. And, you know, you can order straight through there. Also, if you guys shop on Amazon, please do so using my Amazon link. You can find it under a page on my website, which I recently changed. What's the name of it? It is affiliate links. That's the page on the website, spuntoday.com/affiliate links. And there you'll find links to Amazon and to iTunes. Any shopping that you do on either site, please go to my site first, click on the banner, it'll take you to the site. You do all your shopping like you normally do. It does not cost you anything extra, but both Amazon and iTunes will kick me back a few pennies on the dollar, just for driving traffic towards their website, which would help support the podcast and me. So I would appreciate that if you guys wanna check that out. Also, please rate and review the podcast on both iTunes and or Stitcher. That's very helpful. Helps the podcast gain exposure. It's pretty self-explanatory. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Spun Today. Both of those, like the Facebook fan page, facebook.com/Spun Today. If you guys want to sign up to my newsletter, you can do so on my website. At the very bottom of the contact page, spuntoday.com/contact. At the bottom of the page, you can fill out your name and email address, and you will be signed up to my newsletter, and I let you know whenever there's a new short story that I put up on there, which I'm getting very fucking close to finishing my rickshaw story that I started writing in India during my last trip. It's taken a bunch of unexpected turns in my mind that I was not expecting, but it's coming out pretty dope, and I like it. I'm happy with it so far, so hopefully I will wrap that up soon and have that up on the website. But until then, you can check out the other short stories that are on there at spuntoday.com/short stories. And like I've told you guys in the past, the podcast is also available on YouTube and on Tumblr, and you can listen on those forums if you choose to. Links to those are on my website also. At the very bottom of every page, there's like this footnote section that links to YouTube, Tumblr, Facebook, Twitter, all that good shit. And check that out. So now, before I wrap up, I'm going to wrap up with a song by Juan Luis Guerra, which for you non-Spanish speakers is like he's the man. He's like the fucking Frank Sinatra of DR. He's a singer, worldwide, world-renowned artist, and he's really dope. He's the man. He's like well respected across like all different genres of Hispanic music at least, and I'm sure like a lot of crossover shit also. And I'm gonna read you guys. There's a song called Te Regalo una Rosa, and I was listening to it with my girl the other day in the car, and there was this line in it that like stood out to me for the first time ever. I had never noticed it before, which is really cool when stuff like that happens. And after all, this podcast is about like writing and lyric, not necessarily lyrics, but lyrics are writing and just like the magic of fucking words, which I really find fascinating in, whether it's fucking romantic music like this or fucking, Spanish or English or battle raps or hip hop or, novels or poems or philosophical shit, movies. And this stood out to me, this one line. So I want to read you guys. I'm going to read it in Spanish and, try to loosely translate it to English. I know certain things are going to get lost in translation, so my Spanish-speaking listeners are probably going to get this more. But I don't want to leave you English folk out either. I'm just going to read the chorus section of it, and then I'm going to highlight to you guys the line that stood out to me and the reason why I'm bringing it up. The chorus goes, ay, 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 amor, eres la rosa que me da calor, eres el sueño de mi soledad, un letargo de azul, un eclipse de mar, pero ay, 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 amor, yo soy satélite y tú eres mi sol, un universo de agua mineral, un espacio de luz que solo llenas tú, ay, amor. I know my voice sounds raspy. I have no fucking timing and shit like that, so it sounds like shit when I say it. But I'm going to end the podcast with the song so you guys can actually hear how it sounds and how legit it is. Now to translate it, and then I'll highlight the sentence into it that stood out to me for the first time. He says, ay, 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 my love. You are the rose that gives me warmth. You are the dream of my solidarity. Un letargo de azul. I have no idea what letargo means. Let's see if we can find out. Actually, got the fucking internet here, right? Slow ass fucking computer though. Un letargo de azul. Letargo. In English. Un letargo de azul. It's a something of blue. Azul means blue. It's loading up. Speaking of blue, I saw Straight Outta Compton this weekend, and dope movie. You guys gotta check that shit out. Un letargo de azul, lethargy, a lethargy of blue. Interesting. Well, I told you guys it'll loosely translate. A lethargy of blue. I guess blue like being down. I don't know. Un eclipse de mar. It's an eclipse of the sea. And then he says, ay, amor. Yo soy satélite, tú eres mi sol, means I am a satellite and you are my sun. And then he says, un universo de agua mineral is a universe of mineral water. Un espacio de luz is a space of light que solo llenas tú, that only you can fill. Or shine through, I guess, would be a better and more apt translation. Now, the line that stood out to me is un universo de agua mineral, which again in English is a universe of mineral water. I don't know why, but it just like stood out, and I wound up having a conversation about that line in particular with my girl and telling her what I thought it meant, that she looked at me like I was crazy. And let me know what you guys think about this, but a universe of and it's nothing like deep at all. It's like fucking not a far-fetched kind of analogy or metaphor or whatever you want to call it, but I felt like he was saying a universe of mineral water is like the universe. The dark of the universe is the water, and then the minerals in the water, I'm thinking minerals like as in salt, are the stars. And they're, sprinkled throughout the sky, throughout the universe of water. So, yeah, that's it. It doesn't go further than that. Un universo de agua mineral. A universe of mineral water. So a universe filled with stars. And that's it, folks. That's all I got. Thank you very much for listening. Episode number 30. Thank you all for listening over the past year. Those of you that have stuck with it, I appreciate it. And I promise to continue giving this shit my all and pumping out some decent content for you guys. And with that said, substitute the mysticism with hard work and start taking steps in the general direction of your dreams. Thanks for listening.
Te regalo una rosa, la encontré en el camino. No sé si está desnuda o tiene un solo vestido. No lo sé. Si la riega el verano o se embriaga de olvido. Si alguna vez fue amada o tiene amor escondido. Ay, 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 amor. Eres la rosa que me da calor. Eres el sueño de mi soledad. Un letargo de azul, un eclipse de mar. Pero ay, 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 amor. Yo soy satélite y tú eres mi sol. De agua mineral, un espacio de luz que solo llenas tú, ay amor. Ay, 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 ay. Te regalo mis manos, mis párpados caídos. Beso más profundo, el que se ahoga en un gemido. Oh, oh. Te regalo un otoño, un día entre abril y junio, corazón al desnudo. Ay, 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 amor. Eres la rosa que me da calor. Eres el sueño de mi soledad. Un letargo de azul, un eclipse de mar, vida. Ay, 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 amor. Yo soy satélite y tú eres mi sol. Un universo de agua mineral, un espacio de luz que solo llenas tú. Ay, ay. Ay, 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 amor. Eres la rosa que me da calor. Eres el sueño de mi soledad. Un letargo de azul, un eclipse de mar. Pero ay, 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 amor. Yo soy satélite y tú eres mi sol. Un universo de agua mineral, un espacio de luz que solo